police officers come. Of course, the paramedics makes it too late, and I was delivered by a police officer who I think he said was his second week on the task force. He said that at that time, learning to deliver babies was a part of their training. He was like, but no one really gets to actually deliver babies, obviously, except for him. So yeah, I was born that way. I came in, I was born right in our apartment at like 2 p.m. on Father's Day. And it was a complete shock to my mother, to my father, to my siblings who had heard the rumor on the way back from the basketball game. They said oh my God, Miss Hattie had a baby. They said they were laughing, saying, oh my God, small town stuff, people lie, our mom's not even pregnant, what are they talking about? They get home and there's evidence that it was a baby home, but there was, my mom and myself had went to the hospital.
Wow.
My mom called my dad to tell him Happy Father's Day. He was like, yeah, okay. I saw you last night when we were drinking. You're clearly not pregnant. He goes to the hospital, sees this little baby. He's crying. I mean, everybody's crying because they're like, where did this kid come from? And
the miracle, just to back up a little bit before then, my mama shared that she bled 7 months with me. She actually bled 7 months with me.
Wow.
And because I think I was supposed to be a twin, and they found out, that she was bleeding, but I was actually born in the 8th month, not the 7th month. So not the 9th month. Totally last full term. And so she bled 7 months with me. But at the age of 2, I remember I used to preach on the fireplace. I used to get up on the fireplace and just be preaching with my little microphone. Didn't know what I was talking about. But one day she was really, really sick, laying on the sofa. And I remember going and getting the oil and saying, in the name of Jesus, over her head. And like immediately she got up. I remember that. So that's something I do remember from my childhood.
Reminds me of like Pentecost. There was a huge gush of wind and then it filled the place.
Wow.
The crazy thing was, when that happened, my dad and me went to try to fix it, see what's going on. It was too random. It was a perfect day, right? And so we came back, sat down, and out of my dad's mouth, he said, "Kurshin, that was for you."
Wow.
And that coming from my dad, no way. It's like, that didn't even make sense for him to say that.
But he reminded me in a dream, I actually heard he and I talking and saying, him asking me, do I want to stay here? And I'm like, yes, I want to stay here with my family. I want to do what you put me here to do. Like, we were having a conversation. And I really believe that he was showing me, I had a choice in the matter whether I was going to stay here and fulfill my purpose or my destiny, or was I going to just go on? We were having that conversation. So, and from the Bible, we see many times that God, when it came to death and people, that the Lord did speak to us about increasing life and, things of that nature, that he will have those types of conversations and make those kind of decisions based upon, our responses. Our will, it happens that way. And so that's what he showed me. And I believe at that particular time, he revealed it to me because I still wasn't sure about my purpose. I wasn't sure about who I was or why, what he wanted with me. Yes, I was a minister, I'm preaching, but I was still in a time where I didn't understand what was so important that he wanted me to do, what was so special, about the call on my life.
The story was that, I had a dream about the man that I was going to marry, which is my husband right now. And of course, at that time, I was probably dating somebody else. But, again, like I said, you can have the dream, forget about it. But then when it happens, you're like, oh, okay.
So how old were you? Do you remember?
I think I was still a teenager. I think I was
a teenager. And how old are you now?
Okay, I'm 60. I'm 60 years old.
She looks good, doesn't she? She doesn't look like she's 60, but I'm just saying, I want you guys to see this. This is good. All right. Tell the story.
So as a teenager now, and we've been married now for 33 years. So as a teenager, I had a dream of the person, I saw the face of the man that I was going to marry. And I kept thinking in the dream, this can't be my husband because he looks like my relatives, right? And then when I met my husband, I said to myself, wow, this is the guy that I dreamt about. And I said, I can't tell him about what I dreamt about because it would probably run him away or scare him. And so I don't want to say anything. So I said, let me just casually go ahead with the process of dating and then see what happens. And of course, then we got engaged, and of course we got married. But then when we got engaged, I said, let me tell him about this dream. So I told him about the dream. And at that point, I felt like I'm all in now because I'm engaged. So he's not going to turn around and say no, or we're not going to get married.
I think you're crazy.
Woo, woo, woo. Like we always say, woo, 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 right? But I told him that I had this dream that I saw him. And it was just really like almost like a still shot of him in the dream so that God could show me, okay, this is him.
I was going to school that you paid for me to go to school for like about 1.5 years. And as I'm underneath your ministry, my finances began to increase. My finances was able to increase, and then I was able to pay for my ordination track after that. But when I connected to you, it was like the heavens was open, and I'm not taking nothing from anybody. I was at a church for 10 years. The word, being honest, was the man taught that word. He taught that word, and it was the word of God. But as I was sowing, I never seen no return. I mean, paying my tithes, I never saw the return, and I'm not seeing anything bad or whatever, what was going on. And it wasn't until I came into contact with you, it ain't like it happened overnight for me, but in a short time, my door started opening up for me. I had a degree, and it was like I couldn't find jobs. I found jobs, but they wasn't a job where
in your field
the income was pretty decent. The income wasn't pretty decent. So it wasn't until I connected to you, and I'm being honest, not because you're my apostle. I'm telling my real testimony, the real.
I want to hear. They need to hear.
Walk. My real prophetic walk.
Right, because really, wait a minute. This is what you're telling. Sounds like a miracle in finances, and it's important for folks to hear this because I really keep telling it, but because I really want to go down to what was the common denominator. How do we know that you believe it all came from, that God was increasing you? So I want to talk more about that too, but go ahead. Okay.
So the very first job that I got making really good money, I was a mental health technician. I worked in the psych ward, very high acuity, but I was connected to you on my hospital bed and at the surgery. I got offered that job. In the hospital. In the hospital. And I didn't know what I was really walking into. I was like, yeah, okay.
Because you were working the principles of God and understanding really.
And then and not just that, Apostle. The Lord paid my house off. My son wanted to buy me a new car. And I told him, I don't want the car. I'll take the mortgage paid off. He said, okay, Mom, go ahead. So that was a miracle for me. That was a 30-year mortgage off my back.
Let me ask you this. So what was that like? Take people through the journey, of what it was like having hands laid on you after 22 years, you being declared a prophet, considering that it never happened. Because I know there are people out there. Here's what I believe. When it doesn't happen soon enough for people, or they're not in the mindset that it should happen or can happen because of maybe how they were raised, I believe people convince themselves that it's not necessary. And they convince themselves that it doesn't matter and that it doesn't bother them. But the truth of the matter, it bothered you, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And I knew I was supposed to be. And it does matter. And it does make a difference. First of all, Apostle, the one calling me saying that God told her to ordain me, that just really blessed me and said, this is my time. This is my time. And I expected it, but I didn't know when it would happen or who the person would be. But the timing of God is so important. And you need to be able to wait and not complain in your waiting, but continue on your journey and do what you can and do as he leads you to do. And the fulfillment of your greater will manifest. 22 years? No, I didn't give up. Did I ponder on it every day? No, I did not. I was trusting God. And then to be able to, that night was just, because I cried. I took an ugly picture too, because I was so relieved and so happy and excited. I was crying on my picture.
Yeah, you looked a little in shock. It was like one of those moments. It was definitely your defining moment.
Yes, it was. And to have those words spoken over my life openly, and to have the affirmation officially made, it released me into another dimension of the prophetic. It freed me on a whole nother level. It's like you got backing now. You have the confirmation, you have the affirmation, and you have those that see who you are prophetically and are willing and are pouring into you to help build who you are. And that is so important and valuable. It was to me, and I think it should be to any prophet, to have a person or people that can see who you are and help enrich who you are. Because you don't see everything, you don't know everything, and you can't comprehend everything. And then to have people that are guarding you and covering you in the realm of the spirit, I value that, I appreciate it, and I thank God for it. So that night I was broken through. I was broken through. I was liberated, and I was put in a position now that I can rise up. I can be freer than I've ever been before, to speak, to say, to go. And that level of authority that came on me, because I had a blessed assurance, I can say it like that. I had a blessed assurance now. So now that authority in me is greater than it was before. That level of ability to impact is greater than before. That sharpness is there. That ability to almost be, now, when it comes to spiritual things, I'm fearless in the realm of the spirit. And that all came through me being released and affirmed and in connection. See, being connected to who you're supposed to be connected to is valuable.
All about miracles in the prophetic, but really God has really ushered you guys into like a season of miracles, wouldn't you say?
Oh my goodness. I mean, unbelievably so. We couldn't even imagine this. You couldn't have told us, in 2020 that by 2022, we'd be sitting in one of the biggest miracles that God could have ever done for us over Dr. Price's 40 years, my 21 years in ministry. So I would have to say we are experiencing literally miracles in the prophetic.
Right. Now I know how she's going to explain it. We'll save that. But so how would you explain this? Because you said you've been there, 21 years. How would you explain what God is doing?
Oh my goodness. We're seeing the full manifestation of his word and understanding what it means when God says there's a time and season of manifestation, and how you have to keep, prophesying and decreeing and declaring the word of the Lord so that it will arrive in its season. A lot of times we get very frustrated by that. What happened? Okay. Very frustrated by that. The technology over here, but very frustrated by having to keep declaring the word. He said, is my word not like a hammer that breaks the rocks to pieces? And so he made us hammer out for 21 years, okay, this word, so that we can come into the day of this miracle. That's how I would describe it, because a lot of times people, often think that miracles happen overnight. Right? And not that it's something that God literally it puts in us in seed form and then makes us hammer out, right? And I think you know that because you've been in ministry for a long time. Oh my God. He makes us hammer out that word until we see the full manifestation of what he impregnated us with when he called us to ministry. You have to hammer that out.
Explain that. You didn't grow up in the church. So you grew up, would you say you grew up in the streets?
Oh, I definitely grew up in the streets. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
so what kind of streets did you grow up in?
I guess to just condense everything, the encounter that I had with the Lord was not based off the church. At the time that I had my first encounter with the Lord, I was actually a lesbian. I was in a homosexual relationship. I was also an exotic dancer while still owning my salon. And the relationship that I was in was really strained. It was really frustrating. And I had just really reached an end of frustration. And I actually was in the process of loading a gun when I heard the voice of the Lord interrupt me and reroute my life and told me, don't do it, just walk away, that he had a plan for my life.
Wait. You were loading a gun. Or what were you going to do? What were your plans?
I was trying to take that person out who had caused me that level of frustration and grief. I had had enough. It was a lot of betrayal. It was a lot of things that were happening. I kept constantly being betrayed. That was number one. And that just really, again, I don't know God. I don't have a relationship with God. Nobody around me did as well. And I was actually in the salon doing hair. I had already loaded the gun, and so I was trying to finish up my last client till I went to the club where I knew that my partner at that time was going to be. And it was in that place while I was doing the last client hair, the Lord began to invade my spirit with his voice. And so,
and you knew it was the voice of God.
Yes,
even though you weren't in church, you knew it. Now, some folk, this is how miracles are made, folk. All right, go ahead.
So, after I escorted the client out the door, I literally put my hands on my ears like this and dropped to my knees. And I was like, stop talking to me. Who is this? I had never in my life had an experience or encounter like that before. And I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, it's me, Jesus.